The first breath of October in Raven Hollow was not a gentle shift but a sudden, almost violent arrival, a cold that slid down from the peaks like a living thing, curling through the valleys, threading itself into the marrow of the land. The mountains here were not soft, rolling giants, they were jagged, angular, their black silhouettes cutting into the pale sky like the teeth of some ancient predator. Far below, a river wound its way through the forest, its voice a low, constant murmur. The scent of pine and damp earth hung heavy in the air, mingled with the faint metallic tang of snow yet to fall. Clara Winslow stood at the trailhead, her boots planted firmly in the frost-rimmed dirt. She adjusted the straps of her pack, feeling the familiar pull on her shoulders. 34 years old, lean and wiry from a lifetime of restless movement, she had the look of someone who belonged more to the road than to any fixed address. Her dark hair was pulled back beneath a wool cap, a few strands escaping to whip against her cheek in the wind. She had told her sister, Mara, she'd be gone 3 days. Just enough time to clear her head, to walk until the noise of the world fell away. 3 days, she'd said over the phone that morning, her voice light, almost teasing. I'll be back before you even have time to miss me. Mara had laughed, but there'd been something brittle in it. You always say that, Clara. Just, be careful, okay? Clara had promised. She always promised. The first day unfolded in a rhythm she knew well, boots crunching over frozen leaves, the creak of leather straps, the whisper of wind through the trees. She stopped by a stream to refill her bottle, crouching to watch the water swirl around her fingers. The cold bit into her skin, but she welcomed it. Out here, pain was honest. By late afternoon, the light had thinned to a pale gold. She found a small clearing and set up camp, the firelight painting the trees in flickering amber. She sat with her back against a fallen log, staring into the flames. Her mind drifted, to Mara, to the cramped apartment they'd shared after their parents died, to the way Mara had always been the cautious one. Clara had been the opposite, restless, drawn to the edges of maps. That night, she slept lightly. Once, she thought she heard footsteps beyond the firelight, slow, deliberate. She held her breath, listening, but the sound faded into the wind. The second day, the trail narrowed, winding higher into the mountains. The air grew colder, the light thinner. She passed no other hikers. Around noon, she noticed something strange, a set of footprints crossing the trail, leading off into the underbrush. They were deep, the edges sharp. Fresh. She crouched, tracing one with her gloved hand. Not boots. Not animal. Bare feet. A flicker of unease passed through her. She stood, scanning the trees. Hello. Her voice was swallowed by the silence. By late afternoon, the sky had darkened. Clouds gathered over the peaks, heavy with the promise of snow. She quickened her pace, but the trail seemed to twist back on itself. Landmarks she thought she'd passed hours ago appeared again, a fallen birch, a moss-covered boulder. When she finally stopped to check her map, she realized with a jolt that her compass needle was spinning slowly, aimlessly, as if the mountain itself had lost its sense of direction. That night, she camped in a hollow between two ridges. The wind howled through the pass, rattling her tent. She dreamed of Mara calling her name, the sound coming from deep underground. On the morning of the third day, she found the cave. It was half hidden behind a curtain of ivy, the entrance a dark wound in the rock. She might have passed it by if not for the sound, a faint, rhythmic pulse, like a heartbeat made of static. She stepped closer, the hair on her arms rising. The sound grew louder, resolving into a pattern, 3 beats, a pause, 3 beats. She should have turned back. Every instinct told her so. But she thought of the footprints, the spinning compass, the way the trail had seemed to fold in on itself. She thought of Mara, and the promise she'd made. Just a quick look, she whispered. Inside, the air was damp and cold. Her flashlight beam caught the glint of water on the walls, the jagged teeth of stalactites. The sound was louder now, echoing off the stone, 3 beats, a pause, 3 beats. She followed it deeper, her breath loud in her ears. The tunnel narrowed, forcing her to turn sideways. Her pack scraped against the rock. And then she saw it. A small device, no bigger than her hand, half buried in the dirt. Its surface was smooth, metallic, etched with symbols she didn't recognize. The sound came from within it, steady and unchanging. She reached for it, and the light went out. The darkness swallowed her whole. It wasn't just the absence of light, it was a density, a weight pressing in from all sides, as if the cave itself were alive and closing around her. Clara's breath came fast, each inhale sharp in the cold air. She shook the flashlight, but it was dead, the beam snuffed out as if the darkness had teeth. Somewhere ahead, a faint scrape echoed, stone against stone, deliberate, unhurried. She froze, her fingers tightening around the strange device she'd unearthed. The pulse inside it had changed. No longer the slow, steady rhythm she'd first heard, now it was faster, urgent, almost panicked. A whisper slid through the dark. Not words, not language, more like the sound of wind moving through a hollow reed. Then came another sound, bare feet slapping against wet stone, approaching from somewhere deep in the tunnel. Clara's instinct screamed at her to run, but the tunnel behind her was a black throat leading back into the mountain's belly. She took a step backward anyway, her shoulder scraping the damp wall. The cold was seeping into her bones now, a deep, marrow-level chill. The pulse in the device synced with her heartbeat. She could feel it in her palm, in her wrist, in her throat. And then she saw it. At first, it was only a shape, taller than a man, but wrong in its proportions, its outline shifting as though it were made of smoke and bone. The faintest glimmer of pale, lidless eyes caught what little ambient light there was, reflecting it back at her. It stopped a few feet away. The air between them felt charged, like the moment before lightning strikes. Then, in a voice that was both inside her head and echoing in the cave, it spoke, "You've come far enough." Clara's voice trembled. "What is this? What do you want?" The figure tilted its head, studying her. "It's not what I want. It's what you've already taken." She looked down at the device. The symbols etched into its surface were glowing faintly now, shifting like liquid. She felt a pull, not physical, but deep in her mind, as if the thing was reaching into her memories. Images flashed, Mara laughing in the kitchen, the two of them as children, hiding under a blanket during a storm, the moment Clara had decided to leave for this trip. She staggered back. "Stop." The figure stepped closer. "You carry a key. It was never meant for you." The cave trembled. Pebbles rained from the ceiling. Somewhere deep inside the mountain, a low, resonant hum began to rise. Clara turned and ran. The tunnel twisted, the walls seeming to close in. She could hear the footsteps behind her, slow, deliberate, unhurried, as if it knew she couldn't escape. Her lungs burned. She burst into the open air, stumbling into daylight. Snow was falling now, thick and silent. The forest looked wrong. The trees were taller, their trunks darker, their branches twisted into unfamiliar shapes. She glanced at her watch. The hands were spinning wildly. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more stories.